I'm Amanda Sanfilippo, and I'm also known as DJ the JJ. I am a sex educator and just been an educator for a really long time, but I work with Amy Irvin, who was the director of the New Orleans Abortion Fund, and I have a radio show where I do sex education, and I do workshops and work with schools, and I work on the board of NOARP, which is the New Orleans Adolescent Reproductive Health Program, teaching sex ed and writing curriculum. And I'm a doula and a queer sex lover, pleasure lover. The class itself was held in the theater, and it wasn't in a classroom, and we set up like an altar, and it had this very intimate feeling. It was very closed, but it had a feeling where we weren't in a class, like a traditional institutional classroom, but more in this kind of cave, which felt really great for the course that we were teaching. I was teaching of Lizxnn Cobalt, who's also a sex educator and writes for Anti-Gravity in the Sex Files. And she and I came in, we set up our altar and looked around and thought, oh, this is a perfect place to teach a class around sexuality and pleasure and liberating us from all the shame. We're talking about the deep layers of consent and cultural misunderstandings around gender and explorations of our experiences in the sexual and erotic realm as well, like not just around sex or reproduction, which is often the case in traditional sex education courses, is that they really frame it that it's about reproductive health, right? And we were really framing it as this is around lifting shame, liberation, and pleasure, and consent and communication. I think having it, first of all, be free, not having to cost anything, especially in this time of a pandemic, people were very excited. And in the classes, what I got from the classes, like, tell everybody what you learn here. And that's something that I and Lizxnn really want, is that you're ambassadors of sex education, to go out into the community, into the larger community of New Orleans, Louisiana, the South, America, the world, and really offer what you're learning here to the world. And I think that that's something, there is this thing of ownership around intellectual ownership. And the Beaubourg School, I just felt this freedom to teach whatever I thought was appropriate and important and around health and well-being, and accurate too, right? You know, that we had anatomy and physiology, but that this wasn't something that was owned by the Beaubourg School, that we could go out and teach this same curriculum other places. That's so rare, right? That's really saying, no, keep going, reach out to the world. Like, we don't own what you're teaching here. I think that felt really good, and it also encourages others to keep teaching outside of an ownership model, an ownership of intellect or art or things like this. All the feedback we got is important, like, yes, all the positive, and also the ones that were like, hey, we would like more of this, right? And that's so fascinating. And so also having that open conversation of feedback from our community, and giving more, expanding what we can offer, even if we don't all have all the information right now, that gives us like, oh, we get to go research what else we can do, which is a way for instructors and professors to increase their knowledge so that they keep having inspiration to teach more. I just want to say that I was really interested in some of the classes there. I was going to take Raya's class, which was somatic surplus, and I'm a mover and a dancer, and also for sexual health and just health in general, and self-knowledge. Having somatic work is having the opportunity to move into creative spaces where somatic awareness is taught by a person who I know to be an incredible dancer, a professional dancer, and also a health practitioner in the medical field, was so super exciting to me. A queer, magical person, I think. And also, the Beaubourg School had a lot of queer professors, or instructors, I should say, and that is so enlivening, because in conservative communities that you can have people judging your knowledge based on your behavior, your life habits, or something like that. And that was actually, it felt that the Beaubourg School was expanding and saying, no, these folks have information that may not be so available to others. And then there was expressing your natural voice as an educator, an instructor, knowing how my voice is, what my voice is when I speak, when I offer something, or if we bring an artistic element, which Lizxnn and I are very interested in, is how does art also inform our erotic body and our body of boundaries and protection, and how could singing or even speaking support that kind of growth. So I was really interested in that class, and then, as I said, I took Tay's class in creative writing, and there was a basic improv class that looked great. And I think those kinds, enriching our artistic lives, both as members of a community and in a culture of art. I mean, New Orleans is this place where artistic expression is the way we really communicate in a lot of the forms. And so I was just super grateful to have those opportunities to learn for free with incredible instructors, with instructors I know to be accountable and have integrity, and to relate to their students in ways that are respectful. So that was exciting for me to have that.
Hi, I'm Lizxnn Cobalt. I taught a class at the Beaubourg Free School called Come and Get It, Sex Ed, and I co-taught it with Amanda Sanfilippo. It's kind of expected that once you're an adult, you get pushed into the adult world, and all of a sudden you know everything about sex, and you're just supposed to enter into romantic and sexual relationships, and it is an expected building next step of things, and a lot of us are really unprepared for that, either because we receive no sex ed or very bad sex ed when we were younger. And so we wanted to create a class that made this information accessible for people who are adults and maybe have already, been involved in various relationships, but just want a firmer base from where they're moving from. And we're always learning as we go. We actually came together to write this 6-week curriculum specifically for this class that we just taught. So it was our first time having everything laid out and being able to follow kind of a trajectory instead of offering one-off classes on the various subject matters. And so that was also really exciting for us to do. Again, sex ed is really, really underfunded. I would say throughout the United States, throughout the South, for sure. It is not a subject matter that is given a lot of gravitas. And so people expect you to be able to just do a little snippet here, a little snippet there. So it felt really good when our class was accepted and you wanted to give us the space and the money for 6 individual classes that were part of a larger whole. So we just felt like we could expand so much more and lay so much more groundwork that we don't often get to do in a lot of the other work that we do teaching. I think it's really amazing actually having an institution dedicated to this. So both, and what I mean by that is both your physical building, right? That people know that it's there and people can show up there to be oh, I don't know what's going on, but I'm sure something is. Right? So just having that physical presence, but then also maintaining just consistent structure makes it more available to people. Once the class got going and people started telling their friends about it, we had people that were like, oh, that's really cool, but it didn't fit into my schedule, or I missed the first 4 classes, or, when are you going to offer this again? We can actually say, cool, so follow the Beaubourg. Actually, they will have a course catalog coming out. Like, they have a lot of things going on, and it's a nice to be able to direct people to that and offer some sort of consistency. I also took a class in the spring semester that I was in the sound art class as well. And so just from the student side of things, it was really cool kind of showing up. And in the class, there were people that I recognized from around town, but I didn't really know so well. So it was a good opportunity to get to know people I have seen in passing for the last 10 years and getting to engage with them a little bit more. And having a set place to come together and kind of explore a new pursuit that was of interest to me, but I don't get to access much in my daily life as I'm trying to focus more on like work and other kind of things. So from a student point of view as well, it was really cool and felt, again, really accessible to me, and a easy thing for me to commit to. Yeah.